Okay, today I'm here to talk to you as the teacher, as the mama, and what we are supposed to be doing as we are homeschooling our middle schoolers and through this season and into high school. Welcome, my name is Rachel. I am a homeschool mom. I have 4 boys. I have graduated 2, and I have a senior this school year and my last middle schooler. He is in 7th grade, so he will be going into 8th. So I just want to share with you some thoughts about middle school. And I know as moms, we enjoy making the list and getting the books and planning everything out and just having it all look really beautiful. But as the teacher, I want you to think about how you are going to be setting the ground for high school. Your kids are following your cue. Homeschooling is a lot of work, and we have to be consistent in our own responsibilities and with them. We may have other children that we are caring for and also homeschooling. We have home responsibilities. We may have outside of the home responsibilities. We may have ministry. You fill in the blank. And our children are watching us through these different situations and these other responsibilities. And that is going to reflect on how they handle things and how they work through their responsibilities. Let's start with encouragement. Let's encourage our kids where they are at. Yes, they may be struggling with some things. They might need some help, but let's go ahead and try to encourage them where they're at. So if they see that you're working hard to get things done, your responsibilities done, hopefully you can explain to them, Mama's tired, but she's got responsibilities and those still have to be done. And this is what God has for me to get done. And He also has some things for you to get done and be responsible for. So in saying all that, yes, they have the schoolwork, but don't give them just schoolwork. They need to have their own jobs, responsibilities outside of that. Especially middle schoolers need to know that they are needed. Having a job makes them feel useful. Give them other responsibilities besides just schoolwork. You have something outside of the house that you're responsible for. Maybe you can take them with you to help every once in a while. Maybe you have a project that you want to tackle, but you're having a hard time getting started with it. Maybe encourage them that they might actually be really good at this and bring them in to help you. It could just be like organizing the garage, painting bathroom cabinets, anything like that. So yeah, those are things that I've had my boys help me with. So encourage them in their strengths, but they will have weaknesses too. But help them understand that we all do. We all have areas that we are not the best at, but we can strive to at least work on that area and to learn more. We may not become the best at it, but it doesn't mean that we can't put in the effort. We need to pray that God would help and enable us through this homeschooling journey, but also pray that God would enable our kids, that they would see that they can learn and that they can overcome. This is why I love reading like missionary biographies or any type of biography that talks about somebody that has overcome an obstacle. We really do enjoy the heroes then and now, and I've talked about them a lot in our videos. But during those middle school years is a really good time to encourage reading about biographies and different people like that. We have some that are on Christian heroes, but we also have some that are on American heroes. And there are other stories out there that are really good. Another thing, us homeschool mamas, I don't want to say that we should do, but it's actually something, we should not do. And that is to overreact. Their response is going to be like, what? What did I do? And sometimes I think they're really serious. Sometimes they don't realize that they did or said something that may have not been what you think is appropriate. We need to talk through things. You could ask them questions about like, what brought this up? And they might give you an answer, and you might just ask them, well, how did you feel about that? Things like that. You can just sort of get a feel by just asking them sincere questions. And if they know that you're just sincere and caring, you might realize that they really didn't know that there was a situation that they should be thinking about differently than how they handled it. So that is a good time to discuss things. And you're always learning different things when you have a middle schooler. So you definitely don't want to overreact because you want to keep that relationship and them communicating with you so you can take these opportunities to help teach. I know sometimes we think we're on top of it, but when you have a middle schooler, there will be surprises. It's definitely a good time to make sure that you are keeping that relationship, building that relationship, because they're getting ready to go into high school and you want to have a good relationship with them and as they grow into an adult. It is so worth it. So another thing I'm personally struggling with is being consistent. We all have a lot of other things going on, and some of my things are outside of like the homeschool subject. So, I have adult children, I have a senior this school year, just a lot of different things that I am managing right now. But we're all in different seasons. We all will always have something going on. But I need to make sure that I am taking my extra time and focusing on homeschooling. Homeschooling is very important, but everybody's in a different situation, a different season. But whether it's your first child or if it's your last, homeschooling is still a huge responsibility. So as they're entering into the middle school years, especially as they're getting into seventh, going into eighth, they should have already, if not, start taking on more responsibilities. But they need to know what is expected of them. So they really need to have their clear expectations and our consistency with that. For example, and I really encourage this because it really just helps prepare them a little bit for high school, is that you're checking up on their work. Now, and I don't mean like once a month. It could probably need to start even being more than once a week. You almost want to make sure that they're getting their work done every day. Because if they know, oh, mom's going to check it at the end of the week, I have until then to get this done. Now, I know some people may say, well, that's good management. They've got to learn. But I think there's some consistency that needs to be taught before we give them that responsibility. So maybe you just want to check their work the next morning and make sure that they're set and ready for all the work that's expected of them that day. It'll help them stay focused and be motivated to get it done. So I guess my thought process, it is best to make sure that you're sitting with them through each subject, not every day, but at least just sort of oversee. Like maybe one day you're just really watching them do math. Maybe one day you're reading through history with them just to see where they're at and how they're doing with it. And it doesn't have to be like every day, every subject, but just making sure that they don't have any questions or discussion answers, especially if you have given your child a lot of independence. Now, it can be a balancing act, especially if you have a lot of children and they're younger and you're trying to homeschool all of them or you have little ones. It is difficult, but you do as a mom have to have some consistency. They need to see that. It is our job. And God can help you manage that. You just need to seek Him in the best way to schedule everything out. When my boys were younger, I had to commit my really morning time to lunch to just doing school. Now, each child wasn't doing school all those hours. Sometimes I would let one go outside and take a break while I worked with another. And maybe somebody else was getting something else done. But I was always working with one of the kids until lunch at least. And then maybe we would come together and do some things. So it definitely is a full-time job. Yes, we want our middle schoolers to strive for independence, but we definitely need to be overseeing that also because they're really creative. They can come up with some good ideas that in their scheduling and their planning. And if you're not checking, they could easily just sort of forget something that might be really important, or they might tell you a week later, oh, I couldn't find that book that I was supposed to already have finished. So really just being consistent on checking up on them. Another thing would be not to overload. I know for me, I can come up with some really fun ideas, creative ideas. Oh, we should try this or we should do that. But it doesn't always mean that I need to go ahead and implement all that because really it's probably going to end up being too much. Maybe a great idea. Maybe I could share it with somebody else. And a lot of times I might think it would be fun. My boys are like, Mom, really? So just keep that in mind because I don't want to overload on something just because. And I also want to make sure they have time for their own interest because by that time they usually do. All my boys have had something that they're interested in. Okay, so I hope just these few thoughts were helpful, I think we can help them by being consistent ourselves and expecting the same from them. Make sure that you give clear expectations and don't overload, because at this age, they're going to want extra time for things that they're interested in. At least that's been my experience. Let them know you care. Let them know that you will be checking their work and they're going to have to be showing it to you. Hopefully, they'll come to a point where, like, if I just get help with this lesson, I won't be so far behind. I just need to ask questions, because sometimes they will. They'll just think, oh, I'll just do this, and whether it's right or wrong. And you want to help them realize that that's not the goal here. The goal is you would rather see the one or two answers right than them through a whole week's worth of math lessons and they're not even correct. So that's why it's important to have them show you their work every day, especially if it's a subject they're struggling with. So this is just the beginning. They have good habits that you could start in middle school that will help you, but also will really help them as they're getting ready for high school. All right. I do appreciate you all watching. If this video was helpful, I'd appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoy homeschool videos, I would love for you to join us by subscribing. So, all right. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you again soon.